Okay, hello Jens,
Hey,
Hockeycard Denmark. Welcome to
hey.
Hockeycards.se, the podcast.
Yes, I'm so happy to be here, and it's a pleasure of mine to join your community. I've been looking forward to it a long time now.
Well, we're super happy to have you. I mean, you're a name in the hobby, at least in Scandinavia. So I've been following your Instagram account for a long time. So it's super nice to have you on. But maybe you could start by introducing yourself a
Of
bit to the
course,
listeners.
yep,
Yeah.
of course. Well, my name is Jens, and I am 37 years old. I live in Denmark with my girlfriend, and beside my regular day job, that's kind of boring. I collect hockey cards and go to hockey games of all things you can do in Denmark. So it's the smallest hobby here in this country, I think. So, but it has been my passion for a long time, and that's what I'm into, hockey.
Yeah,
Yeah. So that's
and because I was thinking about that, how do you select hockey and hockey cards as a hobby, or hockey as the sport of choice uh, in Denmark? Because I mean, you're you're a bit younger than me. You're roughly 10 years younger than me, but I remember the state of hockey in Denmark when I was a kid. I remember there were like Swedish coaches who traveled to Denmark. They were
yeah,
offered a lot of money.
yeah,
They came to the Danish league and coached Danish teams and the Danish
yeah,
national teams. And when they came back to Sweden, and did interviews, they reported on the players drinking beer
yeah,
between periods, smoking
yeah,
cigars in the locker
yeah.
room, and Denmark has been very successful at other sports like football. I mean, or
Exactly.
soccer to our North American listeners, and
Yeah,
and cycling and handball and a lot of other
yeah.
sports. So how do you choose hockey in Denmark?
Well, for me, hockey has always been around. Since I was a kid, back in the '90s, hockey has been around. I have played, floorball in a bandy for 12 years. So the whole thing about either stick puck or stick or ball or something has been around me for forever, I would say. And a lot of my friends, either played floorball or hockey. So it has been that kind of community I have been living in. So when my friends started collecting hockey, then of course I had to do the same.
Uh-huh.
And then, my back in the days, long story short, my bonus brother, he played hockey. He was a goalie, and his real brother was Peter Hirsch, who has played in Sweden,
Yeah,
Leksand and Modo for a lot of years. So
yeah.
hockey has just been, the sport to go to. It was interesting to watch on television, and in the city where I live, we had in the '90s the team was very successful. It was competing in the playoffs, and then in the last 10 years we have won 3 championships, I think,
Uh-huh.
and have attracted some really good American, Canadian, and Swedish players. So
Yeah.
going to a game on a Friday, choking beer with your friends, it was just normal. So hockey
Yeah.
has just been around me and around the city where I came from in a long time. And to be honest, I watch maybe like 2, 3, 5 at the most soccer games a year.
Yeah.
I'm more into results, so soccer is not for me. But a lot of Danish guys are into soccer and
Yeah.
NBA cards. So,
Yeah. NBA as
but
well. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
so yeah, the hobby kind of stopped in Denmark with hockey when we got players to the NHL. So when
Okay.
yeah, and
Okay.
and you can't even buy. I mean, some companies around have low end MVP retail boxes and loose packs, and that's it. That's
Okay.
all the product we have available. So people are more into NBA cards and Pokemon and soccer cards, of course.
Yeah. So getting a hold of boxes is sort of an adventure
Uh,
for you.
yeah, yeah, it comes from Sweden. Most of the
Yeah.
product that I buy and my friends
And
buy also.
yeah.
So
We're going to go into your. I mean, I'm super curious about your collecting background and
Yeah.
how the journey has been for you from collecting as a kid to where you're collecting today.
Yep.
But before we go into that, I need to ask you about the shirts on the wall behind
Oh,
you. That's some pretty
yep.
cool shirts. Yeah.
Yeah, I put on a little display for today. So when we travel, my girlfriend and I, we like to go to cities where we can watch a game.
Yeah.
We have been to New York, where I was given a ticket for my birthday, and we watched the Rangers versus Mighty Ducks, and I had the chance to wear my career jersey to the arena. Then we,
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
so I had that since, I don't know, 97 or something. It's
Okay.
one of the old ones. And then we went to Toronto last year, and we watched Toronto versus Red Wings at the end of the season. And funny story about that game: the backup goalie for Toronto at that game, the emergency goalie, I think it's called, was Curtis Joseph. So he was actually in the arena, and he was pretty close to getting ice time at that game, because one of I mean, there was Samsonov, isn't that the goalie? Ilya Samsonov. He went down with some injury or something, but came back later. So then we had to stop at Boston. So of course I had to buy a Marchand jersey, even though it kind of splits the waters a bit. But yeah, so I'm hoping to add a Rangers jersey either later this year or next year. So.
Yeah. Okay. Is that the next trip planned then? Is it New York? Yeah. Again.
Yeah, my girlfriend wants to visit New York again when it's not packed with people. We celebrated Christmas there in 19, so there were a ton of people, and she wants to go again, and of course go and see a game. She's the one with the foam finger, just screaming fight, fight, fight all the time because she loves when they're fighting. So yeah, she wants to go, and so do I, of course. So yeah. So we try to pick up something, also a mug, to keep our drinks in during games and stuff like that. She has a foam finger and a scarf, I think.
Yeah. So you buy something from every arena.
Yeah. And unfortunately, we went to San Francisco in March, and they are mostly known for the NBA team, and it was off season, and the Sharks never made the playoffs, so we couldn't go down there and watch hockey. So, but yeah, we got to take New York next. So that's a little fun side story to all the hockey stuff. Yeah.
Some very nice souvenirs.
It is.
Do you have a favorite team?
I mean, I cheer for Boston. I think they are a good team, and I think they compete every season, even though they, first they lose Zdeno Chara to retirement, then Patrice Bergeron, but they still every season bring in some guys, and they compete for the top spot in the regular season, and every team is competing at the playoffs. But I like to cheer for Boston, and of course Anaheim, but that's more due to Korea. But he retired a long time ago. But I think Boston is the team I follow the most, and also it used to be Colorado due to Byram, but we'll talk about that later. And I would say it's probably more easy to mention a team that I don't like, because I like most of the teams. I just think the league has gone pretty good the last couple of years. So, but Boston. Long story short, Boston is the team that I follow the most.
You're going to get along well with my son then, because he's a big Boston supporter, and my daughter is as well. So you're going to have to fight them for cards.
They are good raised. I can hear that already.
That's actually a funny story, because when the first game we watched together on TV, this is like 3-4 years ago. There were 6, I think, at the time, and the first game we watched was Rangers Boston on TV. And I'm a Rangers fan, so of course you cannot cheer for the same team as your dad, right? So they instantly became Boston Bruins fans.
Yeah, so, and that's how it is.
And it's been the same way since that game. So
my wife is Rangers fan. She collects. She has a little box in the closet, with Rangers cards, and she likes to collect players from the teams she has been to. So but she likes Rangers the most, and
I like her already. She seems like a fantastic woman.
I'll send her over, and you can send the kids my way.
All right, but now, Jens, where you are today, I mean, you're probably one of the biggest hockey card collectors in Denmark, maybe the biggest hockey card collector in Denmark, right? And I know you have an amazing collection. We'll get into bits of that in a bit. But how has your collecting journey been? I mean, from being a kid and folding cards and putting them into your back pockets in the schoolyard, and to where you are today, where you're buying cars that have a pretty hefty price tag on them. I mean, how's the journey been?
Well, I started back in '94, and as many people know, the cards back then didn't have any, appeal to it. There were no autos, at least to my knowledge, not in Denmark. But I started collecting Korea, and I did that up to around 2000, 2001, 2-ish, and then I actually quit collecting for a long time, and I came back in 17 with some loose packs at shops, and then trying a box here and there, and I got lucky with some hits, and it kind of grew to me, because now I'm having full-time job, earning my own money, and I can I can buy the boxes and cool cards in Sweden, as I can buy my products from, and so it just evolved, and I think it's if you, I don't know, many people have different views on how to collect, but it's just a passion of mine. I like to open boxes. I like to watch the artwork and geek out the cards and see if how the themes are and stuff like that. But it has I have been on a long break, 15 years give or take, and now with the hobby, it has evolved a lot. You can, as you can get autos, dual autos, triple autos, quad autos, memorabilia, logos, and all that. So it's a more fun hobby to come back to, even though the price range is pretty hefty sometimes.
That's the thing. I mean, from a financial standpoint, currently the way the second-hand market values are on many of the cards, I mean, buying boxes is a horrible personal financial choice to make. I mean, compared to buying singles. But you are buying boxes, or you're doing both, or?
I mean, I have the PC player. I collect Byram. I've done so pretty heavily. I have some big cards in my collection, and in that occasion, I like to buy expensive cards. But when ripping boxes, I mean, a product like OPG paper has been fantastic within the last 3 years. So I like to open those boxes, and Trilogy, and what's the next? Allure, like we just ordered. So for me, it's like if it's a PC player, then I can go buy singles, and if I see a good price on something. But at the moment, it's more about boxes, because I don't know what comes next with my collection, or if I'm gonna go into set building or starting up a new PC or stuff like that. So at the moment, I'm keeping my focus on the products that I like, of course, with the pricing and the availability that we have in Denmark. So we have to order from Sweden and pay for shipping and all that. So, I cannot just buy a box here and there. And so Allure is next for me. I think it's a great product, and that's what I'm doing at the moment.
That's really interesting, because I mean, collecting can be so many things. And people collect in so many ways. And I've talked to a lot of people in the hobby about this, that people are collecting if you're not into, I mean, if we exclude the people who are flipping cards trying to make money, and we're talking about the people who are actually collecting cards, right? It's so personal what you collect. It can be a player, it can be a team, like you collect Bowen Byram, or like you collected Paul Correa. And it can be a team, or it's set building, or it's a specific set, or it's specific inserts, and and it's so personal, and it's interesting to hear that you're at a point now on your collecting journey when you're not sure what's going to be next for you, right?
I mean, putting up, going into a PC player, I mean, either you go all in or you don't, kind of.
Yeah,
I mean, if you're gonna do a PC, you have to both have the low end cards, but
yeah,
you also gonna need the big cards, of course,
yeah,
because that's where the fun is, I think.
yeah,
Or if you go into set building, of course, you can try to get like OPT Platinum, the Emerald Surge to 10.
yeah.
That's a pretty amazing set to put together. So yeah, but I don't know what's next for me at the moment. I'm focusing on finding the next two key pieces for my Byron PC.
Yeah.
It's the Cup RPA and the Metal Universe where he is holding the cup. He didn't get a day with the cup card, so I'll have
Yeah.
to
Okay.
settle for the other one. But when those two are in hand at some point, I maybe I'm maybe not gonna add that much. Maybe it's a big card here and there, but nothing small. So I'm putting in a little bow on the PC unless something huge comes up, and then we'll have to see what's next. I respect the guys who are set building because there are so many parallels to a set, and there are so many inserts and stuff. And if you put together the whole thing, it's just a work of art. But it's
Yeah.
too big for me to
Yeah.
handle.
Yeah.
There are too many cards to pick up.
I've always found that so when I was a kid, you always traded cards, right? You brought the cards you had and you traded for cards you didn't have. So it was basically, I mean, maybe you traded for Gretzky if you could, but otherwise it was a lot about building the set. You wanted all the cards, right?
Yeah.
And it was a lot about trading. But my conclusion today is that trading is really, really hard to do, and
It is.
and mainly because collecting is so personal and people collect so different things. So
Yeah.
so you go into something. Okay, I have this. What do you? Oh, you have a card I want. What are you collecting? What can we trade? Well, I only collect right shot players who played in the 1972-73
Yeah.
season. Okay. Yeah, I don't have many of those to trade.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
and then it falls apart, right? So
Yeah.
it quickly becomes buying and selling instead. So you use money. But
I think we the collectors from Scandinavia, I think are a bit hurt by that. I mean, a lot of Swedish guys collect players. You obviously have a lot of NHL guys, more than Denmark at least. So, but I mean, you can collect a guy from the city you live in, for example, like Victor Hedman or Mika Zibanejad or something like that.
Yeah.
And that's that's fun because it's personal for you. But I mean, we don't, like you mentioned, we don't trade with each other. It's more selling and buying. But if we were in the States, I think there would be more trading because you can easily flip cards over there, at least to my knowledge.
Yeah.
So it's a strange way of doing it. I was, flipping cards is not something I do a lot of. But if a guy comes up, trading huge cards for huge cards, I would say that's awesome. And I wish there were more of it here in Scandinavia.
Yeah.
Where people could settle for a trade instead of always wanting money.
Yeah. But back to your collecting journey. I mean, you started with Korea. Why him?
Well, because I have this friend who has been my best friend all year long, and he collected, Timo Solani and Steve Eiserman, and he started doing the PC collecting before I did. So we talked, and a lot of huge names came up, like Pavel Bure and Peter Forsberg, Niklas Lidström, and so on. But then he mentioned this Korea guy, and he came in '93, and so I collected him, and nobody else did that in my with my friends and all that. So his cards were easily obtained. And my PC today is 560 cards, I think, of his, with some big inserts here and there. but he was just a phenomenal player, and he was different from American and Canadian players because he was small and he was, of course, Asian, one of the first Asian players to come in, and he was fast. And of course, he played for the Mighty Ducks, who were pretty big in the 90s, with TV series going on. So I collected him for a lot of years, and gotten to the point now where I have his PC is still ongoing, and if I find a huge card I want to add, then I buy it. So that was Korea, and Byram came as a PC the year before the draft. That would be 1920, I think, when he was playing for the Vancouver Giants. He was brought to my attention. Then he was a defenseman, and he was putting up great numbers, and he was a good skater, and he was luckily drafted by the Colorado Avalanche, and has since then won a Stanley Cup. So I started buying his cards before the draft, and afterwards it just expanded, because I wanted to take this PC to more than the career PC, obtain some autos and some sick patches and stuff like that. So that's where it is today, and one of the cards is right here next to me. I'm going to show it later on, but he's just a good player, and I was a bit sad when he was traded to Buffalo, but I'm sure he'll get more ice time or whatever is going on there.
Yeah, how does that affect you as a collector who collects a specific player when they change teams? I mean, does it matter? Apparently, it does to you, at least. It matters.
It did. I have a good friend over in Canada. He also collects Byram, and I screenshot it from Instagram, sent it to him, and said, "Hey, what about this?" And he was like, "It's fake news and stuff." And I was like, "Hey, this isn't fake news. He literally got traded for Casey Middlestat 1-of-1." So it hurt a bit, because he isn't going to the playoffs within the next few seasons, I think. Buffalo is a talented young team, but they still have to improve a bit to get into the playoffs. But it kind of hurts, because the Avalanche still have a chance within the next couple of seasons for winning another Stanley Cup. So of course you want to see your PC players play in the playoffs and winning cups and stuff like that. So it hurt a bit, but it is what it is. He's still a PC player no matter where he plays.
And I know you've prepared some of the cards from your collection for us to show us. So is it a top 5 or of your collection? I mean, what would you say you've prepared?
I have taken it's 6 cards. 2 of them share like a combined spot, but it's my top 5 of cards that for me have history. So they are not all based on value, because it would be like only McDavid cards or something. But for me, they have history, and they have a place in my PC. Byram is one of the cards, but so we can go from the bottom here. And it's I'll try to hold it up so you can see it this way. It's a black lustrous. It's numbered to 12 out of 15 with a good patch. I don't know if you can see it on the screen.
There's a bit of reflection in it, but you can see it.
I'll try to. Maybe I can do like this.
That's a pretty nasty patch, actually.
Yeah, it is. So the story behind this one is it was stuck in customs for 2 weeks, and I was emailing, the Danish Postal Service like a maniac for like 10 mails back and forth, trying to convince them that it was my card, it was my envelope, because the seller forgot to put in my unit number. And I sent photos to them explaining there is an envelope within the envelope that says 41 where I live, so you can open that. I know you're allowed to open packages. So, and finally they caved in, sent the card, because it was gonna go back to Canada, and I was gonna pay for new shipping and all that. So that was a key piece in my collection, this Bowen Byram card.
Transatlantic shipping is a pretty scary thing, to be honest. I mean, I don't know how the world actually works, because as soon as you're about to send something across the Atlantic, all bets are off, and basically anything can happen to it. I know I had a guy I met through the hobby. He's in the US. He wanted to send some cards for my kids.
Yeah.
He sent it 4 times.
Yeah.
And I still haven't got it.
Yeah. Actually, it's pretty funny about that. I have a tracking code that is now, I would say, 3 years old from a Joachim Blickfeld Future Watch inscribed card that I've never gotten.
Yeah.
And sometimes I click the link and it says the shipping label hasn't been created, or sometimes it says it's at some random airport. And it's 3 years ago, so yeah, stuff happens sometimes, but it's just so weird. So for the next one, it's two cards sharing the same place. And first of all is this, I don't know if I can get, there we go. Cale Makar, Rookie Premier Horizontal. And this one, I don't know, it's a Kirby Dark RPA with a sick patch from one of the feathers, I think, the Chicago logo. But these two cards came in one in each box, and it was my first two Premier boxes that I bought, and it was also my, way into thinking that for me, high-end boxes are more, interesting for me as a collector. So that was my introduction to Premier, and I like Premier. It's my favorite product of all time. I buy them, every year, multiple boxes, and think it's good quality. And they were redemption, both of them. So luckily, I got them when they are in good condition.
You managed to get them as well, because that's also a thing. I mean, when you live in Europe and get a redemption, Upper Deck has to send you the card, which means transatlantic shipping again. Yeah. And then when we get it, we need to pay taxes, and we need to pay customs fee for a card we actually already have bought.
Exactly.
When we bought the box.
Even with eBay now, you can pay for the import fees through eBay, and sometimes you get slammed anyway, so you end up paying the double, 25% times two. So our card gets pretty expensive sometimes.
But you're the guy that I know of, at least in Scandinavia, who definitely opens the most Premier boxes per day.
It's a product for me that has the most quality versus the price point till this day. I think it's where you get the most fun out of it. And when I came into the hobby, MVP, of course, I was thrilled about opening those, and I tried the James products back in the McDavid era, and then Team Canada. Fortunately, they don't resurface here in Europe that often. So, but the more high-end stuff, and especially Premier, is my go-to product. I opened up the Cup last year, and it was a thrill, to open a box with that price tag. But I will still choose Premier anytime. So for card number 3, it's not much. It's McDavid, and it's a checklist, so it's worthless. But at the bottom, you can see a small signature. Yeah, and it was from when the World Cup of hockey were in Denmark. I went to the quarterfinals game between Team Canada and Russia, and with my buddy, we were outside the arena waiting for the doors to open, and suddenly, the whole Team Canada came walking straight by us from the hotel to the arena, and I was like, okay, there, Adam Ekblad, Darcy Kemper, and Connor McDavid, and I just pulled up my card, ran to him straight away, and got the card signed in person. I only just got a thank you and a great game, and he was all focused on going to the warm-ups. So that's a special card in my PC, even though the card itself is worthless. But getting an in-person auto from an NHL superstar is amazing, I would say.
Because this is also one of the aspects of the hobby, right? I mean, the storytelling around the cards. It's not just the most rare and most expensive cards,
No.
Which if you browse social media, what people post are the most rare and most expensive cards, and say, hey, look what I got, and good on you. I mean, good, that's fantastic, but the whole storytelling behind the card. I know there are some guys on YouTube that I follow. I watch all their videos because they pull out some random baseball card, and I don't know anything about baseball from like the 1960s, and they spend 10 minutes talking about that card and that player, and it's just fantastic. So the history behind the cards as well as
Yeah,
like you said before, like the design of the cards. There are
yeah,
some very beautiful cards being made. You
there
don't
is.
you don't see that in soccer, for example.
No,
The types of card designs you see in hockey. So
yeah, hockey is pretty special with all the patches and different kind of artwork. Upper Deck, I think, is doing a great job. Sometimes, putting together some beautiful artwork and putting on some on-card signatures with great patches, and that's just one of the upsides in the hobby to get one of those cards. And yeah, like you said, for us hockey card collectors in Scandinavia, meeting players in person, like this is Conor McDavid, but
yeah,
I have met a lot of the Danish guys. Some of them are summer training at my local club, like
yeah,
15 minutes walk from here. So I met Mikkel Barker up there one time and had some autos, and Alexander True. He's just signed with Modo. I met
yeah,
him also, and his dad also played for my local team back in the day. So I
yeah,
got cards with both of them. But just cards that have story. It could be a $1 card or
yeah,
$100,000 card. If
yeah.
it's had a if the story is good and you're willing to listen, I think it's one of the beauties in the hobby to have stories behind your cards.
And I think that's also an important message to new collectors
Yep.
or to people who are looking to maybe get into the hobby and just see, whoa, that's a $10,000 card and that's an $8,000 card. I can afford this. I mean,
Yeah.
collecting is what you make of it, right? You
Yeah.
collect
Exactly.
whatever you like on the budget that you
Yeah.
have, and there are, I mean, MVP is an entry level product, right?
Yeah.
A pack of cards cost like $2-3.
Yeah. At the most. Yeah.
And there are still there's still nice card designs, and there
There
are still
is.
players in there with a history. So
Yeah. You
so
can collect
collecting is
whatever
for
you want,
everyone.
and no collecting shaming or anything. So it's also your money. It's not mine. It's your decisions. It's not
Exactly.
mine. So collect whatever you want and just do it with passion. It's
Yeah.
what matters. If you're
Yeah.
a low end collector, well, you can still get a big Instagram, or you can make a YouTube video channel or whatever you want to do and talk about your cards.
Yeah.
That's one of the things I love about different kind of collectors that I know and on my Instagram account. So we got 2 cards left, and the second one is a real Conor McDavid Team Canada auto from 2015. So the year he got drafted, I think. But this was my second hobby box ever to open. My
Yeah.
first one was a Upper Deck Champs that came out in 2015, and also this product I opened not long after, and I got that auto. And back then I didn't knew much, so Conor McDavid is a fantastic player. He was back then also, but he's like a huge superstar now. But so that card has a special place for me because it was the first big auto that I pulled, and of course it had to be Conor McDavid out of all players. So
That's a pretty decent start to your
yeah.
collecting career.
But also the Team Canada product, I'm a huge fan of that product, and like I said earlier, it doesn't reach the European market that often. So when it does, I try to get either packs or boxes, but the boxes itself are pretty expensive also.
Yeah.
Especially now with the Bedard hype going on. So
Yeah.
the last card, I know you have seen it, and it's of course the Jason Robertson, the Cup RPA Gold with a shoulder logo. It was from my first box of the Cup, and it was also my first YouTube channel video I put up when I pulled this card. So it holds a special place, and of course it's a card that for me is too big to have in Europe.
Yeah.
It's a thing I've been talking with my other collecting friends about. Can certain cards become too big for a European collector to have in his or her PC? And I think this one is too big for me, so it's gonna go for sale sometime, someday, because it's worth at least a couple of dollars, I would say. But it was a huge card to pool,
Yeah.
and to post on social media, and people were going bananas, and so were I when we pressed the stop recording button. My best friend were next to me, and we just exploded.
Yeah.
So that was a kind of a top 5/top 6 cards. I could have easily picked up something else, even some career cards. But I think those 5 or 6 cards, share some history about the way that I collect. All my cards have a special place, even the base cards that are hitting under my bed, because ripping up a box is just so much fun, and sometimes you get lucky and sometimes you don't, but it's still a fun time to open a box of cards.
Yeah. Fantastic cards. I mean, amazing cards, and amazing card designs. You have some
Instagram.
pretty successful social media presence as well. I mean, you have a YouTube account and you have a Instagram account with 2,500 followers at least. I mean, and of course there are pictures of these cards there as well. So go check out the Instagram. I will put links to your social media in the video description on YouTube. So check out the description of the video for direct links. What made you take the jump into social media with your collection?
There is a lot of groups. There is, just in general, there is a lot of groups on Facebook, but I started one focusing on, the Danish community, and trying to get a lot of I know a lot of the friends I had back in school, they still have their cards tucked in somewhere under the bed or in the garage or on the roof or anything. I don't know where they put them, but to try to get them out, and show cards from their collection and try to get the hobby going. So I started on Facebook back in 2017 with this McDavid card were also in there, and try to get people going, and putting up a post here and there and talking about special different kind of cards and what to look for. But the reactions weren't there, so I shut it down, started my Instagram account. And if you use the right tags, or you post at certain times of day, you get more social media attention. And then it just grew, and I saw a different kind of community, a different kind of hockey world that I didn't know existed at that point, because I was still new in the collecting game at that point. So and then it just exploded, and with many years later, I end up buying 2 tins of the cup. And my best friend Christian, he was pushing for me to go on social media and rip it, because it's kind of the holy grail. And I opened up the channel, and even though I only have 5-6 videos something, and hoping to do more, I put it up there, and the 2 first videos are the cup videos. So it was a pretty big first 2 videos.
Big start.
But yeah, it's gonna be difficult to match that. But I think that Instagram is the right social media tool for collectors to reach other collectors and meet across, like you and I did. We met through Instagram, and one of my Canadian friends, we met through Instagram because we collect the same player, and you can kind of direct your post towards a certain crowd. And then it just escalated. Like 1,000 followers were the first mark, and then 15, 2,000, and so on. So now it's just fun to post and show passion for what my cards or box reviews, or whatever comes through the mailbox goes on there. So that's that. I think it's a fun way of collecting, not only open boxes. I mean, you can do that and just keep your cards for yourself, but get them out there, get publicity, get lights on them, and show the world what you opened. It's just a whole new level of collecting, I think.
And I know you do expos as well, right?
We have a big
Denmark.
expo. Yeah, of all countries, we have a card expo. It's called the Nordic Card Show. It started up some time ago. I can't remember the year, but it started in a small venue, and then it just upgrade, and now we are in. And now they are. I'm not a part of it, but they are in the Bella Center. It's one of the biggest venues in Denmark, and they have, I believe, it's 220 tables rented out for this year's event. It's on the 7th and 8th of September. And I'm going to be there at table 171 and 72. We are going to be 3 collectors sharing 2 tables. But it's half of the show is Pokecon, Pokemon event. And the other half is sports cards of every degree, soccer, wrestling, Formula One, and NBA. That NBA is the biggest, of course. So, but it's going to be a huge day. I know I think they have, like a scene where you can book time to go up and rip a box and, being displayed on the screens around the
So you're on
venue.
stage.
Yeah, exactly. You can get on stage and rip a box if you want to. So, but like, I think I'm going to be maybe one, or we're going to be 2 hockey card guys at that event at least, I know, and some other sellers have hockey cards also, but it's not much. It's a very small community in Denmark.
Basically 2 out of 220 tables will be hockey cards.
Yeah, that's not great odds.
But
sometimes Dave and Adams are there selling. I don't know if they're gonna be there this time, but they have been the last couple of times. Selling boxes. Cool Cards have been there also. With a whole stand about hockey. They brought a Wayne Gretzky rookie card last time, and it got a lot of attention. But people are scared of the price point. If they're not into collecting hockey cards. But it's gonna be a pretty fun event this year.
So. To the listeners, then, if you want to meet Jens, you go to the Nordic Card Expo in September in Denmark. He will be there, or follow him on social media, YouTube and Instagram, and chat to him there, and you can find the link in the description on YouTube of this video. Or you can also join the Hockeycards.se Facebook group, where both Jens and I are part of, and you can chat to us both there as well. So.
We are friendly people, so just reach out if you have any questions about anything.
That's cool. Jens, you've been around the hobby for a long time, right? So what's your perspective on how it's evolved over time?
Yeah, we talked about it a bit in the early stages of the podcast. The card themselves have evolved, to extremes, I think, at least, going from the old school Parkhurst cardboard cards back in the 90s to now getting cards with huge chunks of memorabilia and on-card autos and low numbering down to one-of-ones. So I think the hockey card market has evolved into a special market, also because of the designs and the patches you can get on the cards. So it's really it's not just a hobby anymore. I would say it's also an investment standpoint with the players running around today, like Connor McDavid, Matthews, Cale Makar, and so on. So I would say it has evolved pretty heavily, and I don't know where the end is for hockey cards, but I would assume that someday, like, video cards are gonna show up with actual footage of something in the certain player's career or something like that, or you can get like a scratch off and get a code like you do on redemption cards, but that code will give you access to personal either a birthday wish from a certain player or maybe something like that in the future. But I think the card game itself has evolved pretty heavily from I don't know, early 2000s and up to this day, and the cards are just getting more, teched out, more autos. We want, bigger patches and of course better quality. But I think the cards today are pretty amazing, from back when I started, at least.
Would you say that it's becoming more and more of almost like a lottery, like it's more and more gambling related to buy a box with the odds of what you can pull. I saw a guy who big successful North American YouTuber who out of a Tim Hortons pack
Yeah.
pulled a 1 in 500,000 card, which was a framed jersey, Wayne
Wow.
Gretzky jersey, which was autographed with
Yeah.
a certificate of authenticity delivered in a frame. So you got this big ass package. It's like,
What?
is it
Pull of a
becoming
lifetime.
more and more like a lottery and less and less about
I
collecting?
mean, it is kind of a gamble, I would say. It's like going down and buying a lottery ticket or putting money on sports betting or something, to buy a box. Everybody want to pool, like the Conor Bedard Young Guns 1 of 1. I mean,
Yeah,
if that card wasn't announced or wasn't made,
yeah,
I would say they would have a lot of boxes still on the shelves today
yeah,
in the shops. But and that was kind of a draw for many collectors to go down and use their money on buying boxes. So
yeah,
I think it is a gamble, and of course everyone want to pool the big cards. And like the cup, you have seen a lot of videos on YouTube where people
yeah,
buy a box for what it is in Danish kroner. It's like 6,000 Danish kroner for a tin of the cup, and you end up with $200 worth of cards. So
yeah,
it is a huge gamble, and you have to be really focused on what you collect, because you can easily just buy left and right, high, low in prices,
yeah.
and stick to your game plan, because it is a dangerous market to just throw your money into.
Yeah. Yeah, you see, you and I were both members of a bunch of different Facebook groups around hockey cards, which is
Yeah.
typically where you try to trade cards and end up buying and selling them instead, and where people ask for evaluations and help and stuff.
Yeah.
And now and again, you see new people coming in, and they start off by buying, Premier or the Cup or Ultimate, and then it's like they go full speed ahead for like 3 months, 6 months, and you end up like, okay, did you sell your house or how
Yeah.
how did you buy all these boxes? And then they just sort of poof disappear,
Yeah.
and they're gone.
Yeah.
And then you realize, okay, there is a line here between a hobby and a gambling addiction problem, where you, if you need to be, when you go in with so much money, you need to make sure you can stand to lose all that money, or you can find yourself in trouble, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, when I came into the hobby, of course, one of the first products I set my eyes on was the cup.
Yeah.
Of course, I said to myself, I want to open the cup at one point in my collecting, and when Byram came into the league, and of course it had to be his rookie year, the cup, the tins.
Yeah.
So I saved up a lot of money to buy 2 of those, and it's probably gonna happen again sometimes that I buy a tin of the cup, but I would rather go with Premier. But my point is, coming into the hobby, set your eyes on maybe the final price or the big price, and say, one day I wanna. It could be a case of Ultimate. It could be 5 boxes of Premier, or whatever you want to set your eyes on. But if you start from the top and use all your you take your piggy bank and throw it in the floor and collect all your money you have saved up, maybe as a child or an adult, I don't know. But if you start at the top, you're gonna get burned, I would say, and you're gonna lose interest in the hobby pretty quickly, because it's easy to get burned.
I know the first box of Ultimate I ever bought, and that's a box that cost me, when I bought it, cost me roughly $200 to buy it, and I came out of that with 4 cards with a total value of, I think, $20 or something out of that box. And then I got 2 rookie autos out of that. And they're players who will never set their foot never have an NHL career. I mean, they've played 1 or 2 games and will never play again, So it is, some of these products are high risk, high reward. the high reward is not in every box.
No,
So you
it's
need
hit or
to know
miss.
that before you go into these high risk, high reward
Yeah,
boxes, right? Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
Final question for you, Jens. We won't keep you any longer, but what would be your advice to a new collector, someone who is trying or looking to get into hockey cards? I mean, we're the Facebook group we're creating, the website we're creating. It's a lot about tutorials, to
Yeah,
help new collectors and try to
yeah.
expand the hobby. But what would be your advice to anyone looking to get into hockey cards?
I would say research is one of the key factors. Research, and more research, and double checking your facts. When I came into the hobby again, I was actually ripped off by a Swedish guy living in Denmark. My friend and I, we purchased a huge collection of cards, and when we sorted them out, when we came home, it was all straight to the dumpster. I only kept like 10 insert cards and Timo Solani rookie card, I think. But do your research, and especially if you are a European collector, figure out what products you wanna spend your money on, because
Yeah,
you can buy MVP, and you can go young guns chasing, and you can maybe do trilogy allure, and then when the high end stuff comes out, Premier Ultimate, the Cup, and maybe Black Diamond is in that category, I don't know, but then you used all your money. So
yeah,
do some research, and look at YouTubers breaking boxes, so you know what to expect in boxes.
yeah,
And just put your side on. Say, for me, for instance, even though my budget, I would say, is relative big when buying boxes. I like OPT paper, I like Trilogy and Allure, and then I like Premiere. So that's the products that I'm trying to focus the most on. And if you're a young collector, don't be afraid to reach out. Especially in your community. Just throw up a question, and I'm sure either you and me or some of the other guys will be more than happy to come with suggestions, or even private messaging with new collectors.
yeah,
But do your homework, and figure out if are you gonna be set building, are you gonna be piecing a certain player, or are you gonna go into inserts or autographs from a different kind of a club that you maybe followed as a young collector, especially in Sweden,
yeah,
for example. So be pretty precise in what you collect, because you can easily either get ripped off or be suggested to buy a box that, for example, I had a good time with, then you buy it and you say, hey, it was all trash and stuff
yeah,
like that. It would be a
yeah.
sad way to come into the hobby. But do your research and reach out, and watch a lot of YouTube to see that you can get good boxes and bad boxes and medium boxes or whatever. So do your research is my greatest advice, I would say.
That's a great tip. And regarding, I mean, trying to limit yourself in what you collect. That's one, to me, that's been one of the hardest parts, because
Yeah,
collecting is fun, and there are so many great looking cards, and there are
yeah,
so many players and teams you can have a relationship with. Like, for example, when I came back to the hobby during COVID and started collecting with my kids,
yeah,
and we thought, yeah, but maybe we could, I mean, Rangers, of course, because I've always followed them, but then maybe we could like collect Swedish players. That would be fun, right? Yeah.
yeah,
So there's like 150 plus Swedish players in
yeah,
the NHL. So if you want to collect them and all their cards, I mean, I need a new house just to fill it with hockey cards. So
yeah,
and then you have like, okay, teams, players, what sets, what inserts. I mean,
yeah,
there are so many things to collect. So trying to decide on somewhere to begin, I think, is
yeah,
is also something that may actually let you keep enough money to pay the rent
yeah.
for next month as well. So
Yeah, boxes aren't cheap, especially as a young collector.
yeah,
you're like your kids, maybe they get some sort of allowance every week,
yeah,
or something like
yeah,
that. So it's gonna take a lot of time to save up to maybe buy a box, but it
yeah.
has to be the right box. It's not just the most expensive box. Like
No, No,
Like
no, no.
the artifacts you just opened, I would say would have been a fun rip for a young collector to open.
Yeah,
There were autographs and low numbered cards and
yeah,
beautiful artwork and stuff like that. And if you collect like Boston, like your kids do, then
yeah.
try to, yeah, I mean, they probably want every card of Boston going. It's like, give me all your Boston cards, Dad. But you know, at a certain point, maybe you're gonna focus it on, you know, Brad Marchand or
Yeah,
Jamie Swayman
yeah,
or McAvoy or something like that, and more. Then it turns out it goes from a team PC to a player PC, and maybe if you add random Boston cards, they have to be numbered or from a certain set
yeah,
or something. So
yeah, yeah,
so it's
yeah,
it's easy to get, you know, lost in the jungle about how to go around hockey cards, I would say.
yeah,
Or you start up a PC of a player and then he, you know, turns into nothing and ends up playing in Denmark or Sweden in your league. It's a great league, but it's a step down from the NHL.
yeah,
And certainly, and so at some point he doesn't get cards manufactured anymore, and you can
yeah,
take your PC to the trash. You know.
yeah,
You know,
yeah,
just like Joachim Blichfeld, you know, the Danish guy. I started a small PC of his, and his cards were cheap. And I thought, well, maybe next year he's going to be, you know, maybe a third liner, a fourth liner. And he ended up playing in Växjö, and his career in Sweden is pretty good, but his cards are pretty much worthless
yeah,
right
yeah,
now.
yeah,
So,
yeah. No, you
so
need to
do you?
be in the NHL, right, for
Yeah,
there to be
exactly.
any real value in the
Yeah,
cards. Yeah, yeah.
yeah. And
That's
Denmark,
a you see with the new product releases, this fear of missing out that
yeah,
happens when everybody wants to grab all the new rookie cards.
yeah,
Every flagship release, oh, I've got to get all this Young Guns cards, and I'm going to get this card, and I'm going to get, and you look at that and you see, like, in a year you have like 50 Young Guns cards in Series 1, 50 in Series 2, and 30 in
yeah,
Extended, right? So 130
yeah,
Young Guns rookie cards in a
yeah,
year. Maybe 20, 30 of them will have an NHL career.
yeah,
And between 0 and just above 0 of them will be a new Crosby or Ovechkin or
yeah,
Matthews or right. So pulling, it's easy to get caught up in the FOMO, in the
yeah,
fear of missing out. But if you are on a budget and you don't have unlimited funds, you may want to think about if you really want to chase all rookie cards from every player, or
yeah,
look at the Young Guns cards from 2 years ago. Check the value of what they're selling for at like a site like 130point.com. Check out all the 130 rookie cards from 2 years ago, the Young Guns cards, and see how many of them are selling for more than $10,
yeah.
for example, right?
It's a
So
small amount.
it's a small amount, yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah. All right, Jens, thank you very much for
Of
joining
course,
us on the
it's
podcast.
been fun. And as a final piece, you know, I follow you on social media. I follow your regular Instagram page and also this one, and I'm in your Facebook group as well. And for your next giveaway, that I'll be more than happy to be the sponsor of it, if you can put it that way. So we are putting up 22-23 Series 2 hobby box for a giveaway. So that's just a thing for me to, you know, I'm more than happy to do this, and I think the community in your group is special, you know, and it's a place that I hope that new collectors will come and get great advice, because the card collecting world can be cruel sometimes in other Facebook groups. I'm not saying that the Swedish groups are bad, but some of the other groups in the US and Canada can be pretty brutal sometimes. So let's make a small giveaway.
Well, that's fantastic. I mean, thank you for the kind words, and thank you for sponsoring a giveaway. That's fantastic, because we're actually coming up on, we're very close to 200 subscribers on our YouTube channel. So we're going to do a 200 subscriber giveaway is the plan.
Yeah.
So the 200 subscriber giveaway then is a Series 2 hobby box from 22-23.
Yes.
Sponsored by Hockeycard Denmark. That's That's
So
fantastic.
hopefully some new young collector or some guy or girl can pull a Wyatt Johnston Young Guns high gloss or anything crazy out of that box. It would be my pleasure to sponsor one of those and make another collector happy, and also be part of your project.
That's fantastic, Jens. Thank you very, very much. And
Of course.
to anyone else who want to be part of this, I mean, if you're new to hockey cards, or if you've been around a long time and want to be part of helping to try and grow the hobby and help new collectors, please join us. Subscribe to our YouTube channel or our Instagram. Yeah. Join our Facebook group. Chat with us there. There's questions being asked from new collectors. We can help them out together. And of course, if you're new, check out our website, hockeycards.se, which is filled with tutorials on collecting and links to other sites with more in-depth information as well.
Yeah, go check it out. It's a beautiful page.
All right. Thank you very much, Jens, for being here. Thank you for sponsoring the next giveaway. Yeah. And see you all next week.
I will see you on Saturday.
Yeah. Bye.
Ciao. Hey.